Hi, it's Alex here at From Fitter Body Ladies, and we're back doing our podcast. It's been a few weeks since we've done one, and that's just purely because time, people have been on holidays. But what I want to say is thank you for all of those of you that are listening. So if you are enjoying our podcast, please like and share. We want to get as many people listening to us as we possibly can, and we want to make sure that the messages that we're getting out there, or the help and helpful tips that we are providing to help women wherever they are on their fitness and weight loss journey, are getting to hear what we're talking about, because I hope that for those of you listening, it's interesting, it's informative, and you're gaining something from it. So today I have with me a special guest, Rebecca Vivash, Bex to me, and she is a registered counsellor and psychotherapist, and we are going to be talking today about something which, having worked with a lot of ladies who are trying to lose weight, is something that crops up quite regularly. And it's about what people term, I think, emotional eating.
Yeah.
Emotional eating.
Yeah.
And my experience, Bex, is that I have had, over the years, ladies who've come to me who have really been struggling to lose weight. They'll lose a few pounds, or they might even lose a dramatic amount of weight, and then what will happen is something will happen, whether it's traumatic, whether it's stressful, whether it's something emotional happens. And it can be small or it can be big, and straight away they go back to food. Yeah. They go back to food, and they're straight on it, and they're almost uncontrollably using food to soothe them. So what is your experience? I mean, obviously you've potentially worked with people who've had the same.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Why do people turn to food when something emotional happens?
So in my experience, it seems to be that food is an emotional regulator. So we find, and it's what we call like a maladaptive coping strategy, I guess. But it's instead of finding kind of a way of easing your difficult emotions, the way of kind of keeping calm and on it in a healthier way, we turn to food. It's so readily available, isn't it? It's there, it's in your face, it's good.
Yeah. Okay. And so for, let's say, somebody who doesn't maybe use food, they would normally regulate their emotion by using a different type of coping strategy, or they're able to cope more easily with a traumatic situation.
Yeah, so like really quickly, I'll just explain. We've all got like this window of what we can cope with, and some of us are, have a bigger window than others.
Yeah.
So, depending on life experiences, current stresses and that kind of thing. So if you've got somebody with a big window, they're probably not going to be drawn to sort of these unhealthy coping strategies like overeating, etc. But if you've got somebody who's had a very, very difficult time in life, they might have had a trauma, they might be going through big life changes, lots of stress, that kind of thing, and their window's small.
Okay.
So they're going to be living outside of that window of where they can cope with stuff, probably more than the other people.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Definitely. So those that have got a smaller window use other ways of.
Yeah, trying to regulate themselves, trying to feel okay again, trying to comfort themselves. That's where you hear the expression comfort eating a lot, don't you?
Oh, yeah. Okay. So, and it could be other things as well. It might not necessarily be food. It could be alcohol, drugs,
even things like keeping absolutely in control of everything, like perfectionism.
Okay.
Like being on it all the time, not letting themselves sort of slip up, I guess.
So things like OCD and that kind of that become more technical, I suppose, if the word is Okay. Yeah, I mean, I worked with a lady quite a number of years ago, and she'd lost 10 stone. She lost 10 stone.
Wow.
But, a large amount of weight. The one thing that she said to me was, until she dealt with her own anxieties, mental health, there was no way that she could have lost that weight. And what is that? Because she then went to find, do you think, alternative ways?
I would say it's probably more because she didn't need to continuously regulate herself.
Okay.
So if she'd had, I mean, obviously I don't know what's
No,
going on in
but
this
a
lady's
trauma.
life, but let's say she had a trauma and she's dealt with that trauma, or however she dealt with it, might have been through therapy, I'm not sure. So then she's not going to need...
So the window gets bigger.
The window gets bigger, isn't it? Yeah.
Okay. So that's kind of what therapy is about.
It is, yeah. It's like we learn strategies in the first place to try and kind of regulate ourselves, using that word, but it's a good one for keeping our equilibrium going.
Yeah.
So, looking for healthier coping strategies than emotional eating, let's say. So things like exercise.
Yes. Obviously a good one. Good one. But again, people can get obsessed about that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a dangerous life.
Yeah.
But then, once we've kind of smashed that and got to a place where we know what we're doing to kind of, when we're feeling those difficult emotions, then we can look at the trauma and process what's gone on, and then that's when the window gets bigger.
So once you're processing, so therefore, if you're able to look at that trauma in a more objective way.
Yeah, kind of, I guess. Yeah, so I think once you feel able to cope with some of the difficult emotions that are going to come up from exploring and processing your past trauma, then you can. I suppose that's a good way of putting it. You can look back and it's kind of date stamped, and it's not. It doesn't feel like the emotions are hitting you in the here and now. Okay. But without going through that process, it's really hard. It's really hard to know, why you're turning to these strategies like eating too much. And
I imagine for children, especially, if you have like a traumatic experience and then they turn to food.
Yeah, and then that's ingrained.
And it's very hard.
So hard then to get out of, because you're going to have people, your parents around you going, stop eating so much, stop eating too much. Or it might be the opposite. It might be that your parents are encouraging it. There might be, because it keeps the child happy. Quiet,
yes, okay. So rather than them, being sad or depressed or whatever, you give them food and they're happy.
Yeah.
And again, everyone needs food to live. We're having this conversation the other day. It's not like you can turn away and go, well, I'm just not going to eat anymore. No. A bit like, if you talk about alcohol and drugs, you
can cut them out.
You can cut them out. Really find a net, not go to them.
Yes, exactly.
Food,
it's the hardest one to treat.
Food is the hardest one.
Yeah.
Are there specific things that you find, obviously you can't speak about, but things that would tend to trigger emotional eating? I know for me, I remember you saying, stress can be one. If I can find a stressful situation, more so work stress, like things are really busy and I'm like, oh, there's a spoonful of peanut butter, or there's that's
super healthy, Alex.
Well, not really, but no, not if you're eating 10 of them a day. It's not 10 a day. But again, I have never really found food a good regulator for my emotion. No. Alcohol would be my go-to.
Right. Yeah.
Alcohol would be my go-to. Let's have a glass of wine. That'll sort it all out. Yeah. Or it used to be cigarettes. Cigarettes was an easy one, but now I don't smoke. It's, wine.
Yeah. Been through all of them.
Yeah. Good. You're talking from experience. Yeah. At least that's the most important thing. But do you find that can the trigger be something that happens later in life, or do you find that it tends to be something that's...
Do you know what? It could be both. I mean, usually the thing that happens later in life exacerbates the childhood experience, but it could be either. And it could just be that you've got a huge amount of pressure on at work and you just need to...
Eat loads of crisps.
My husband loves the crisps. He does that. He eats crisps.
And he loves beer.
And wine. And beer.
And
sorry,
wine.
Al.
Yeah, sorry, Al.
I'm just...
What's yours then? So if you've got a stress going on...
If I'm stressed and I'm tired, I know that the worst thing for me is to eat loads of sugar, but I will eat loads of sugar.
Okay.
And then I'll go, stop that, and I'll start being a little bit kinder to myself, and I'll...
So do you have a big window? Do you have a big window or a little window?
I do have a fairly big window.
I have a big
window.
I'd say.
Yeah. I think in the past, being honest, I had a small window. I had a lot of therapy.
Yeah.
And it's got
bigger.
Yeah, definitely. But I've been through all of the things that you said, the emotional eating, the wine, the fags.
So what are the strategies that you put in place then so you had therapy that helped grow your window.
Yeah.
If somebody's just at home now, because I think my window's always been quite big.
Yeah.
I don't really ever feel that I've had a particularly small window. Like I don't particularly find situations stressful. I always kind of can see the positive out of it. And well, I know that there are lots of people who really struggle to see that kind of big window, big picture, as they would be called, wouldn't it? Big picture stuff.
You get stuck, don't you?
Yeah, they focus very much on the very small portion of that window's really tiny. I can only see the tiny dot, and I can see one flower out the window. Well, I can see a wood.
Yeah. That's lovely.
Yeah,
I like that
good analogy. What would be a good, so somebody who maybe is at home thinking, God, I emotionally, I like God, my window is maybe not as small as a flower, but I only see a tree. What's one thing that they could do to try to start to build that picture bigger? Obviously, therapy is one way, but if they were just at home, they're not ready to go down that route.
Yeah, sure.
What would be one thing that they could start to do to maybe try and increase that window and maybe make some changes towards creating a bigger picture so food doesn't naturally become the first thing you reach for?
I think for most people, it's really the most important thing is finding out what your triggers are. Yeah. So, and that's really hard. So to just think about and go, oh yeah, I know what they are.
I always say to people, so you're saying about triggers. When I talk to ladies in the gym, in fact, I spoke to somebody who said something about stress. Yeah. And I said, identifying what your trigger is half the problem.
Yeah, definitely. But if that feels like it's in a bit of a haze of everything else, I get clients to can do a mood journal with food. So a food and mood journal for this. Yeah, for this example. Really, really helpful, because then you can just keep a log of what you've eaten, so and then whatever mood you've, or even just give it a colour if you feel blue,
Oh yeah, no,
if you feel a bit
really
stressed, anxious,
make it red.
It could be red, whatever you want to choose. I get teenagers to do it with emoji stickers or emoji faces. Or they do it in an app. Good. That's good as well. Okay. So you can be a bit creative with it.
No, that's really good. I hadn't thought about that. But again, that makes... We advise the ladies, if they're trying to lose weight, to track. Because obviously, as soon as you start writing down, you can start to see what's going on and start to identify... Yes. They might not realise it's a trigger, but it might see the time. Yeah, and you're like, oh, actually, and it could be that in the mornings, or later in the day when you're right, I'm tired, or it could be habitual. Even it just will show you patterns. Maybe if there's, if you've had a stressful time and you've had a few days where you're in the blue or whatever. Yeah. So, but the colour thing's really good, because if you're already writing down, trying to get into the habit of writing down, if you just have one of them clicker pens.
Exactly. Oh God, I love them. I love them.
Yeah. Stationary when you're a kid, but you could have one of those, and as you're writing, you might be green when you're just feeling good, and then I'm tired or stressed at 4:30 in the afternoon. Oh, look what happens.
Yeah, exactly.
I eat a biscuit.
Then I've got a biscuit. Yeah.
Okay, so that's the first thing that they would. That would be a good way of starting.
I think it's a really good way. Yeah. All of the other stuff around kind of opening your window up a bit and having, I think community is really important. Just being around, if you've got other people who are on it as well, and they're on the same journey or a similar journey, that's so powerful. I'd say that is one of the most powerful ways of healing.
Yeah. Because you've got people supporting you.
Yeah, exactly. If you're trying to do it on your own, it's tough, isn't it? I think if you feel a bit more accountable, that's important.
Yeah, very important.
Obviously exercise, but I'm not being flippant about that. It's so important. It literally increases every single happy hormone that we've got. All of those neurotransmitters.
That's what they say, don't they? They say it's way more powerful than any medication that you can.
Yeah, definitely.
And the thing is, I always say, don't have to be doing 50 sessions a week. You could just start off by getting walking, just a few weights. I go to the gym. And I used to think, I should be here for at least an hour. And I'm like, no, I'd come and I enjoy it. I'd come and do what I enjoy, and then go and just chill out afterwards, and I feel good. You never feel bad when you've come back from the gym, do you? No,
feel good
never.
About yourself.
Never. And you feel, even when the days when you're going, oh God, I can't be asked to do this. By the time you leave, exactly. Yeah. There are days sometimes just go and sit on a bike. Yeah, just pedal or just go and
a few ways,
that's it.
Anything to just get your endorphins going. It's like, I think there's serotonin, dopamine. I can't remember what the other ones are called now. Oh, it'll come to me. But anyway, those two are the main ones that exercise increases, which are two of the happy hormones.
Bit of sunshine as well. We could do a bit more of that now.
Yeah. I've been in Liverpool for the last 2 days and it was like 25 degrees.
Oh, lovely.
It's really cold here.
It's horrible here, isn't it?
Like,
I can't believe it's 1st of June tomorrow.
I know.
Mad. Okay, so that's one thing. Obviously, therapy. Okay, well, where, do you specialise in a type of therapy or do you work on a variety of different...
Yeah, trauma really is my, I'd say if I was to say specialism, trauma, trying to sort of help people just find some space for themselves as well.
And how did you get into it? Why did you get into it?
Into being a therapist. It's the wounded healer, isn't it? So many moons ago, I had a really, really rough patch. And as I say, I was doing all the things that I shouldn't do.
Drinking, smoking, eating.
Yeah, eating or not eating. Or,
See, that's another one, not eating.
Yeah.
That's another control.
Absolutely, yeah. So I went to see a therapist and she was absolutely incredible and I knew that was what I wanted to do. She was great.
And how long ago was that?
That was about 10 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah, about 10 years ago. So literally, while I was still seeing her, actually, I started training.
Yeah.
So I did a few years of training, and then
and now you're...
Yeah, I've had my practice for about 5-6 years now.
My God.
Yeah.
That's flown by.
I know, hasn't it?
Absolutely flown by. And I still love it.
I love it. I love my job so much.
Okay.
It's just, I'm so curious about people as well, and just, the way we all tick, and then the way that we're all so similar as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
So would you say that we are more similar than we are different as human beings?
Yeah. There's I think the patterns that I was about to say choose, but it's not even choose. I think the different patterns that we kind of live by are really, really similar. Okay. So many of us.
Many of us. Okay, good. Yeah. So going back to food then. So mood journal is one thing that they could do. Obviously, therapy. Anything else that you use? Exercise, we've talked about. Anything else that you could recommend and you could say, right, these are something you could do immediately today, like little, even breathing techniques.
I was going to say, do you know what? There's a couple of breathing techniques that I love because they're so simple. So there's one which my teams love. So called box breathing. So you literally just, I'm not going to do it because I won't be able to talk, but you breathe in for 4 and then hold for 4. Out for 4, hold for 4, in for 4. So while you're doing that, the in for 4, hold for 4, etc., you look at a square in a room. So it could be
you move your head almost.
Kind of, or move your eyes.
Move your eyes,
probably eyes. But it just helps to guide you, and it's really calming. And then the other one that I think is really powerful is in for 4 and then out for 7. So you breathe in for 4. And then feel your abdomen rising and falling, and then and out for 7, and that's really regulating as well. That's calming,
just to ground you a little bit.
Just grounds you.
So when things are starting to get a little bit anxious, just try those breathing.
Yeah.
Another one that I heard of is where you pick. Is it something you see?
Oh yeah. So 5 things that you can see.
Okay, that's it.
4 things that you are touching.
Yeah.
So you might
leg, table, seat. Yeah,
exactly.
Okay.
3 things you can hear. I love doing that because when you go quiet, you can hear so much.
Yeah.
2 things.
Tinnitus.
Right.
Yeah. Kids.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
2 things that you can smell, and 1 thing that you can taste. But you don't worry if you get mixed up because you can do your senses in whatever order. It's just about bringing your focus back to self, so that you're not worrying. And actually, when you're in the present and you're only just in self, then you can't worry, because you can't worry if you're in the here and now, right? You worry about the past, you worry about the future, don't you?
Exactly. So that's it. So again, going from a worry point of view, what is it that, I suppose, I always say you can only change the things that you can control. Yeah. Like you can't change what's going to happen tomorrow because tomorrow's not happening. You can't change what's happened in the past because the past is gone. It's happened. It's done. It's whatever that you have to deal with. What what you did yesterday was like something bad? You have to deal with the consequence here and now. You can't then think, oh well, what's going to happen tomorrow? Is that right?
That would be perfect, wouldn't it? Yeah.
That would be
awesome.
perfect.
It would
Maybe
be great.
perfect thinking. That's why my window's like this.
My window's like this. Is massive. We all just need to be Alex. Be more like Alex.
I live with somebody who his window's he's bigger than it was. But I think there are times when the windows, because the window can change, I imagine, at times.
Oh my God, definitely. Yeah, this is it. Anything that triggers you, any big life stresses, if you've like got a house move, job difficulties, children's stresses, then that's going to narrow your window immensely, isn't it? So that's when you have to start looking into, well, what can I do? Because you're absolutely right. We can't control everything that's going on around us. And a lot of anxiety can lead us to trying to control everything that's going on around us, and it doesn't work. No. So we just carry on being anxious. Yeah. But if you look at what you can control in yourself, and I often get people to write a list of things that I'm in control of and I'm not. And
so there's another thing they could do.
Yeah. But a lot of people go, I'm not in control of anything. I'm like, well, of course you are. What time do you get up in the morning? What are you eating? What are you putting on to wear?
So make it as basic as that.
Literally, yeah. Every step of your day.
They may be going, oh my God, my life is out of control.
Yeah.
In all these different ways.
Yeah.
I don't know how to do it, to regulate it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to eat. I'm going to get up and I'll eat 3 bowls of cereal because I feel better.
Yeah.
But actually, what they should do is get up in the morning and say, right, today I can control.
Yes.
What clothes I wear. Yeah. What route I'm going to take to work.
Yeah.
Who I'm going to call on the phone.
Yeah. What music I'm listening to in the car.
Okay. So make it as basic as that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And then the more you do that,
well, it kind of brings you back into, well, this is into yourself, I suppose, into feeling more in control than you would do otherwise.
So the here and now is the most.
It's a really good strategy for grounding yourself, is trying to bring yourself into the here and now, right? So mindfulness is really good as well.
Okay.
I don't know, a lot of people will have probably heard of mindfulness, but there's some really good apps that you can use as well. I don't know if I'm allowed to recommend.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So do you use a mindfulness app?
I use.
Oh, do you?
Actually, yeah. There's one called Headspace, but I don't use the app. Actually, I use it on Netflix. So there's a little interactive like Headspace app on Netflix. I don't know if that's the right way of explaining it, but if you go on your phone, if you've got Netflix downloaded, and you go in and you go into Headspace, and then it's got like little interactive exercises, so you can select one and it will say like, what do you want? Do you want to control stress today? And then it will say, do you want an 8-minute one or a 12-minute one?
Okay.
So press if you've got short of time,
maybe 8
minutes. And then it will give you like a little visual, so that's all nice and calming.
Oh, so you like watching it?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it will talk you through.
They do it on your phone now, don't they?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Everywhere's got mindfulness.
Yeah, but even
I don't have time for a bit of mindfulness. My window.
You don't like this. I'm like, big window.
Which window? Which side am I looking at?
You're fine.
No. Okay, so that's another thing, to just use the tools that are out there, because there's plenty now, isn't there?
There's so many. Yeah, actually too overwhelming. I think there's so many out there, but I like to keep things simple. Yeah, I think just
I do. There's what's the other one? There's Headspace, Calm. Yeah,
that's an app. I think there's some free meditations on there, but I'm not sure. I think most of it you've got an Apple Watch.
You get told every hour to.
Oh yeah, breathe. Oh, Alan just bought me one. It's an early birthday present.
It's a bit of calming and
mindfulness.
I struggled
a bit
with
of
I struggle with it.
Yeah.
So a while ago we went to it's actually a few years ago now, a meditation session. Rick said, I'm going to go do this, that's my husband, I'm going to go do a meditation session. And I said, well, I'll come with you. I don't really feel like I need it, but I'll come and try it.
Aww.
So some people have really different experiences. What I've found with people who are who do meditation, I get freezing cold.
Do you?
Yes.
That's oh god, I could bore you with the science, but I think that's something to do with the hypothalamus. But okay.
But go on then. So why
there's a part of your brain that
because at night when I'm falling asleep, I go cold very quickly and it wakes me up.
Oh, I don't know that bit, but I know that.
But that's what happens to me in meditation. I just go to sleep and get really cold.
Yeah.
Really, I'm very calm. Is that what it means?
Well, I think so.
Oh,
so
awesome.
I know, okay, so I'm no neuroscientist, but I do know that there's a part of your brain that controls, or helps to regulate your temperature as well as partly for emotions. But,
Yeah.
and so I think that's probably
So
what's
I
going
wondered
on.
whether actually just basically, like when I'm falling asleep, I'm so calm
Yeah.
that's
You're
what happens.
so
My
chilled
temperature
out.
drops so quickly because actually I'm...
Well, I know it does drop before you go to sleep anyway. So
No,
it could
I
be
know,
that,
but I mean, I get
maybe.
really cold.
Maybe, yeah.
Like super like... I'm not worried about the hot flushes and the menopause because I just am cold all the time.
Right, good, bring it on.
So, well, Rick, when he went and did a meditation, he was boiling.
Again, it's
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. So I just was really cold. I was laying there with like the blankets on me, like, oh.
Well, it could
so
just
cold.
be to do with
and
the
then
fact
just
that
fell
you're always
asleep.
moving, and that's why you've got so much
I think
energy.
I'm just dead inside.
It's made of stone.
Yeah. Heart of stone. That's basically what my kids would say about me. Oh, my son phones me. This is how bad it is, right? So, Lars, this is how much of a dead inside person. We really digressed here, but anyway. So basically, last night I'm laying in bed. I'm falling asleep, literally, in that dozy like that, and the phone FaceTime goes. It's dark. The room is black. I'm like, it's only 10:15, so Rick was busy brushing his teeth, and Harrison, my son, is phoning me, and I'm like, when it's FaceTime, I always think, oh, there's a problem because he doesn't live with us. So I FaceTime him, and there he is, and I was like, he goes, have you seen what I've sent you? And I was like, no, I'm in bed, going to sleep. I'm black. He can't see me because the whole room is black. I was like, what are you messaging about then? And he went, oh, I've just been studded in the face with a football boot.
Ooh.
And I was like, oh, okay. I was like, well, is it bleeding? And he went, yeah, quite a lot. I said, are we going to have stitches? I was like, yeah. And I went, well, see, got to go down A&E now. So anyway, that happened. And I said, I'll speak to you tomorrow. I texted him at like 6 o'clock this morning because I was off to go to see one of our franchises. I was like, how is it? He goes, I've been sat in A&E for 6.5 hours. I haven't even been seen yet.
Oh, you're laughing. I'm going, bless him. He's only 16.
I was like, oh, well. So I said FaceTime and I was like, oh, let's see. And he goes, yeah, I've had 3 stitches now. So it was a pretty bad cut, but I was like, well, deal with it, kid. Come on, get on with it. That's my window, nice and wide. Yeah. I'm not stressing. And I know lots of people find different situations. Like for me, I'm lucky. I don't find most situations particularly stressful, but I do know for a lot of people, things like that would really stress people. Yeah, it would really stress people, like families out or people out and things like that. They worry and as I said, there's absolutely nothing I can do about that situation. I can't control it.
And he's got guardians there.
Yeah. No, they weren't with him. It was one of the guys. But anyway, I can't control it. I can't control that situation. Even if I was here, the most I could do is get in the car, drive down, take him to the A&E, sit with him in the A&E. But
yeah, I know.
The fact he's got a cut on his face. Oh dear, kid.
You'll be all right.
You'll be all right.
Yeah.
It's a story. It's a story. That's what I was thinking. It's a story. It's an experience. But yeah, so anyway, we were talking about mindfulness. So as I said, my experience of mindfulness has been only a bit of meditation.
And you
where
get really cold. Yeah.
Get really cold. And I
struggle to stay in it? Or?
Oh, I can't even get in it.
No.
I can't. All these people who can do visualization as well.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't do any of that. Like, apparently that's a thing as well.
Oh, unbelievably powerful. If you can get into being able to visualise.
But actually being able to see it. So if I said to you, close your eyes and visualise a star, can you see a star?
I can see it with my eyes open, Alex.
I can't even. I see black.
Do you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see
apparently it's a thing. It's called, you haven't got like people who can see stuff have got like a third eye.
Mm.
Okay.
Well, I think I've just got loads of different little compartments to my brain
that's
sometimes
good.
Open. Yeah, that's why I'm a good therapist. Yeah. I'm always off on a tangent.
Yeah, no, it's likewise. But yeah, so apparently that's a thing. So I really struggle. So people would say, lie on your back and imagine the water lapping across your toes and your fingers running through the sand. And I'm like, what day is it today and how many,
what have I got to do?
What shopping have I got to do? And people say that's not good because obviously your brain's super active and you can't turn it off. We're talking about clutter as well. Like my house is like Clutterville, but my brain lives like that.
But you're okay with that, aren't you? And
Oh,
if you're
that.
okay with that, it's fine,
I'm
isn't
absolutely
it?
fine with that.
Like, I think a lot of people, myself included, and I've got, 4 kids really.
Yeah.
I've got 2 kids and 2 stepchildren, and they're all teenagers. You can imagine the clutter. I find that really stressful when there's a lot of clutter around. But then again, it's really I'm really contradicting myself because actually I'm quite messy. But I just know I feel so calm if everything's nice and tidy.
Okay.
But you know what? It is something you can stay in control of.
Yeah.
If that helps
I can control the clutter. Is clutter.
Yeah.
And I choose not to tidy it. I choose not to tidy it.
That's fine because you're absolutely
because
fine
the thing
with
is, I'll tidy it away. And some bugger will come in and tidy it and unmess it again. So I'm a bit like,
always.
I can't cope with it. The nagging bothers me more than the...
Do you know what? It's so stressful to keep nagging.
Yes.
I have an arrangement with my son now where rather than just nagging, I say, well, if that towel or that cup or whatever is left in your room for 24 hours, I'm allowed to nag. And it works quite well because it's cut the stress on me because every time I walk in there I'm like seething.
Yeah. The cup thing with teenagers is so annoying.
Oh God, we've got half of them upstairs because there's so many of them. So half the mugs,
plastic drinks bottles.
Yeah.
They do my head in.
My son has got, and he's only 14 so he shouldn't even be buying Monster, but he's got Monster cans lined up.
Okay, yeah.
And Prime.
We haven't got to the... Prime's disgusting apparently.
It's horrible. I don't know what the craze is about. But
it's because it's YouTubing KSI, is it? Or
I don't know.
Logan Paul or whatever his name is.
I don't even know who they are. They're all influencers.
We did, yeah. Exactly. It's like me, obviously.
You're an influencer.
But yeah, so going back to it. So great to have spoken about that today. So emotional eating, definitely something that is you can regulate. You can sort it out.
You can, definitely.
Start small. Don't make
It's a good tip.
Don't make it too overwhelming.
No, definitely. I'd say start off with just finding where your triggers are to start with.
So the food, the mood and food.
I'd say the worst thing you can do is to go, right, I'm going on this strict diet and I'm going to do, however many ridiculously high hours of exercise a week to start with.
That's exactly what we said. Just
just have
3, you can come 2 or 3 times a week.
Yeah.
Doing something.
Tell yourself
and just start writing what you're eating down. But be specific. I always say be very specific.
Yeah, definitely. Don't lie to yourself.
No.
Because it's not about lying to yourself to prove it to anybody else, is it? It's about understanding your own patterns.
Yeah.
And then with a view to then being able to shift some of those patterns into more healthy
ones.
So
the colour thing, I like that, like using the coloured pens, because actually that just...
It's a nice
and
visual
it's an excuse
as well.
To buy a pen.
Yeah, definitely get a clicky pen. Or some really pretty highlighters.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah. Why is it girls love stationery?
I don't know. Okay.
Whatever.
My husband used to be, a stationery sales account manager. Oh my God, he'd come back from trade fairs and we were like, it's like Christmas Day.
Yeah.
Loved it.
Crafting.
Yeah.
With just stationery.
So many pens.
Yeah.
Big.
Highlighters.
Loads of highlighters, little notebooks, post-it notes.
Do you know what I've just found recently, talking about stationery? Extreme post-it notes. They're
this
ones
is
you
a
can
new
put
one.
up outside.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and they can get wet and they don't fall off.
Well, they just laminated or something.
I don't know. They're made of some weird material.
I
found them. Yeah, I know. Because the thing is about a post-it, you can stick it up and it can lose its sticky quite quickly, can't it? So apparently these are extreme. So I bought some of them. Just because it was
it's a new thing,
it's new stationery. But I'm much better with stationery than I used to be. I used to be really bad. Like I used to be like, it's a pretty pen colour. Oh yes, we need those.
I want one of your Remarkables. They look so good because I have so many notes and I really
I definitely would
just go paperless.
Yeah, go paperless.
Yeah,
because that again solves my clutter.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, okay, so food and mood journal, that's a really good thing. Some breathing techniques.
Yep, definitely.
Exercise.
Yeah.
Just even walking getting out.
A good one. Fresh air and sunshine is it's the best drug ever.
Yeah. Finding a good support
network, so you can
if you're struggling, let's say you are, you're struggling with this, maybe that is the problem.
But you're lonely.
You're lonely.
Could be. There's a lot of people who are lonely, and that doesn't mean, that people who are with you know, in relationships or with families aren't lonely. They could just feel alone because nobody gets them. So being with people who get you, who get what you're going through.
So finding groups that potentially, finding groups that of things that you might like doing, like a hobby.
Yeah, definitely. But you know what I love about your gym as well, Alex? It's because everyone's like, oh, it's like a family thing.
Yeah,
isn't
yeah,
it?
Yeah.
Everyone's like, you know,
everyone helps each other. They do in loads of different ways. It's not just about getting fit and health. Like people go out, they socialise, they'll do runs together. What else have we done?
Bottomless brunch, didn't you?
Yeah, bottomless brunch at Christmas. Yeah, that was good. So there's lots of things, not just exercise-wise, but there's loads of, like, you could do a knitting club if you like knitting. I wonder if they do. You must have online clubs that you can.
I've had communities before, but not for food related issues. But for people who've sort of been in like codependent relationships, and it's just that it's understanding each other and being like, oh gosh, you know, like we love to identify with each other and go, oh, I feel like that too, or I go through that, or you know, and you just don't feel alone. You don't feel strange because we hold so much in. You know, and then we think that we're just different or flawed. That's the thing. We're all the same.
We're all the same. Like you said, there's so much similar.
So many similarities. So so many insecurities, I suppose, that you know we all carry. Yeah. Apart from you, Alex.
Oh yeah, no. Everybody does. No, everybody does. It's just about what you're insecure about, or what you worry about, or what you and how much that worry can impact on what you do.
Yeah, definitely. And how
and it can impact. Worry can mess you up, like physically as well. Like it can.
Oh my
stress.
God, absolutely.
Stress can really affect you.
Well, you can either
physically.
Yeah, you can either. So you know, fight, flight, and freeze.
Yeah.
So we tend to sort of go through the three in almost in order, really. And if we can't fight, we flight. So a lot of the time, if we're running around like a headless chicken, that kind of in flight mode. But ultimately, that has to stop somehow because you can't sustain it. And you hear about people who have sort of breakdowns through trauma, and they just can't do anything. Yeah, they're in freeze, and then they have you know.
So is that what happens if you're having a real nervous, like often, what they call a nervous breakdown? Like when you're just literally, I can't carry on.
Yeah, they're just freezing, or even almost immobilised, really, aren't they?
Okay.
But yeah, that's, you know.
So a panic attack, if somebody has a panic, I've never had a panic attack, so I've never experienced it. I don't even know what it feels like.
Yeah.
Is that your flight?
Yeah.
That's your flight?
Yes, it is, yeah. Too much cortisol, adrenaline.
Okay.
There's usually a trigger somewhere, but it might not be an obvious one at all. And so there's a bit
normally
in your brain
not obvious,
that goes,
did you say? Normally not obvious?
No, often not, but it might be. Or it might be a trigger that you just don't want to admit to yourself, but that can happen. But yeah, there's a bit, and often if we're very stressed, then there's a part of our brain, it's called the amygdala, but I call it our internal smoke alarm.
Okay.
And if that's really sensitive and it's bigger than it should be, which it often is if we're really stressed, we're going to be really sensitive to other stresses. So if something is just tipping us over the edge, like tipping us outside our window, then we're going to have, you know, a panic attack, or you know, some people get angry,
or some people grab food. So would you? So
or people grab food, exactly,
or drink, or drugs,
all
fine.
of that. Okay. Some people use
so that's your flight mode. Is that flight? Your flight?
Sometimes freeze. Sometimes people have drugs and alcohol to feel something, maybe even food just to feel something.
Because they're feeling so depressed or down or sad or
so
to change your mood.
It's to change your mood, to try and regulate, so to take us out of fight, flight and freeze, just into a nice
that's interesting.
You know,
I hadn't thought about it like
to
that.
The outside world, really.
So there's a lot to deal with if
it's huge, a huge amount. There's
so
a lot
really
what
we need to do is, those are the simple things that people can do at home.
Yeah.
But if you're really feeling that there may have been something traumatic that has affected you, then
I would say if you can get help. But you don't. If you can't afford or you can't get to a therapist, do you know what? As I say, the power's in connection with other people.
Yeah.
And if you can be with other people, if it's a group, or even just a friend or somebody you trust.
And it's to take it slow.
Definitely take it slow. Yeah, don't
It's
expect you're going to be. You know, you've been all your life one way usually. So don't expect to change overnight.
That's it, exactly.
Just, that's just putting more pressure on, which will just lead you into panic again.
Yeah. Further and further. It's about taking it slow, steady.
Yeah.
Understanding that maybe there are things that you need to deal with.
Yeah, definitely.
Identifying what those things are.
Yeah,
because I think
really
people, like from ladies that I've worked with, normally for us, the weight has gone on. They've spoken about, we say, well, how long has it been like this? Oh, it's been, so what was the trigger? What was it that you were 10 stone? You were 10 stone until you were 35, and then all of a sudden you're 14 stone 3 years later. What happened at that point?
Or what was going on in your life around that time. And sometimes people will know. If they do, that's brilliant.
And then I always ask, have you dealt with that?
I
always ask, because I do think, having done it, worked with ladies for so long now, like that lady said, unless you've dealt with it, or you're dealing with it, trying to do something alone is not.
No, it's not.
It's almost impossible because you can't see. You can't see the wood for the trees.
No,
like I'm saying, like you're looking at all you can see is that tiny flower. You can't see past that.
No. I often say, I don't often say, but sometimes say to people, if they're like, why can I just not stop eating this? I'm like, well, if you think about it, you might, you think that you can just not eat that chocolate bar or whatever, but if you're talking to, it sounds quite extreme, but an alcoholic, and just say, oh, just have just cut down on your drink. Well, it doesn't work like that, does it? It doesn't work like that, because there's underneath there's trauma, traumas, or there's whatever is going on for you, but it's emotional stuff. And I imagine, like alcoholism, which can become a perpetual, once you start, it's hard, it's really, really hard to even stop that kind of, especially if you get down and then you think, oh God, the only way I feel happy or can do anything is by drinking. Food is the same. It's the same. Definitely. It just becomes your happy thing, but it's not really.
No, exactly. You think it's, I'm eating. I'm eating okay, and I'm eating because that's all. Oh, anyway. Okay, fab. So those simple things, mood, food, breathing, a bit of exercise, finding support community. And if you really think that you could need some help with something specific that maybe you don't feel you can deal with yourself, then therapy.
Absolutely.
So how do people get in touch with you if they think that that's what they're wanting to do?
I've got a Facebook page, Rebecca Vivash Counselling, predictably. I've got an Instagram page as well, which is called Counselling with Rebecca.
And do you put tips and things on there as well?
Brilliant. I do that. And then I've got a website as well. So
and they can all be found.
And my contact details are on there. So
brilliant. Well, what I want to say is thank you very much. I think it's been really insightful. It's really helpful. So ladies, look, if you feel that your eating might be out of control or you're using it to regulate your emotions, then as Bexa said, start with that food and mood diary. That really helps. And those pen thing, I like that. If it's at times when you're feeling that kind of sudden urge of, oh my God, I need to eat something, a bit of breathing, try and get yourself back in, or thinking about the 5 senses. You can do a bit of self-care as well. Yes, have a bath. Just find an alternative. Bit of exercise, get out and have a walk. Especially if you've got some dogs, take them, go for a big long walk, breathe in the moment, enjoy looking at the wood, the trees and the flowers and things like that. And if you're really, really struggling, then please, reach out to a therapist. Bex is one, but there must be hundreds of people out there. Find someone you trust, find that they can help you, and, look at looking after yourself, because looking after yourself is super important. And especially if you're struggling to lose weight and you're finding that food is your regulator. So hope that's been insightful, everybody. Thanks again for coming and being my guest today. Please like, share and listen to this podcast.